Hello. So quick update. I pulled my upper intake manifold off, and this is because I was getting at this right here, and then there, and right back there, right on the back of the manifold there. That was for this tube, and here, one second, let me walk over to it. This tube that goes to the cat, and then this thing, which is all components of the system for the air pump. So this allowed me to delete quite a bit. So I was able to delete that, which I'm pretty sure is called the ASV, or the air circulation valve, or something like that. And that allowed me to get rid of that in there. I think this guy's got to stay because it was bolted to it, but like it seems like its own separate solenoid. So I'm gonna leave that. But see that shiny one? That was able to go away, and then I can pull off this vacuum hose, and then these two solenoids over here are done for because they were connected to that. I'm not gonna fully remove them. I'm just gonna leave them down there. But I did unplug them, and they're gonna stay unplugged, so the car doesn't try to do things with them when there's nothing there. And then that also left this port open, which instead of getting another cap, I'm probably gonna pull this cap off and then use the hose I have to just loop these two. And then there's a lot of people online arguing about whether or not to delete the double throttle. I'm just gonna leave it for now. And I'm gonna leave everything else. I got a full block off plate kit. I'm assuming either I'm gonna make use of this in the future, or I'm gonna swap to an excessive lower intake manifold and upper, and a different upper. But for now, this is what we went with. To install this plate, we had to remove the studs for it, which I just used 2 nuts and was able to tighten them into each other and back off the studs. Don't over tighten these. I really want to tighten them more, but this is aluminum and this is like the bolts are steel or whatever. So you can't over tighten it very easily. The gasket was fine for that. Here, I'll try to pull this back so you can kind of see the gasket a bit, because I didn't tighten it down all the way. Gasket for that was fine. I don't want to bother with taking it off because then I'm risking breaking it. Now it's all right. I can tighten the 2 nuts down, it'll be fine. The gasket for this completely fell apart, so I got to get a gasket for that. And then I can put the delete plate on, which I have out there because I'm going to make my own gasket, because I don't want to find one and order one. It's a lot faster to just go to the store and get something to make a gasket with and just bolt it back on. And once those are all tightened up, I'm gonna go through all these vacuum lines, make sure none of them are torn or out of the ordinary or anything's wrong with them. And then I'm gonna go through and put everything back together, slowly, piece by piece. I've had this manifold off multiple times, so I kind of had a good idea for how it all goes back together. I'm gonna put the intakes back on. Probably at this point, I'll put the intercooler back in. And then from there, we'll just go through everything, double check everything, and then I'm gonna start it and then use the brake clean method to test for vacuum leaks anywhere, especially down in there. That's just a nightmare. So, and then as for belts, this is not the forever solution. I got a shorter belt off Amazon. Basically, it just goes from here, shoop, up around here. The long-term solution is I am going to get a idler pulley to go somewhere back over there so I can run a longer belt to get better contact with the water pump. But for now, until this gives problems or I have the time and money to upgrade, this will be the temporary solution. Temporary. But it already has the Rocket Factory underdrive pulleys for the alternator and the water pump. And belt tension, I might put a little extra tension in it. And then what I ended up having to do is I'd unbolt the alternator to be able to slip the belt on all the way, just because of how everything is here. And then I was able to lift the alternator back up and put it all back together. I did remove the engine lift bracket, which goes behind the alternator. I really did want to leave it on because it would be easy, but somehow when the engine got pulled, when it got put back in the car, it got all fucking bent out of shape. And until I straighten it, it just looks kind of trashy. Not that this engine bay is in fucking perfect shape or anything, just I'll keep that somewhere safe, you know. But all right, it's been about under an hour and we're right back to pretty much where we started. I got the car started just now and I was spraying some of these like under the intake with brake clean, and all these like little silicone hose fittings and all the couplers, and listening for an idle change. I want to make sure there's no vacuum leaks, because the exhaust, the way the car's running, it sounds like, not necessarily it's missing, but there's like a pop, 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 pop. It's really inconsistent. So I think tomorrow when I get my AFR gauge wired up and my coolant temp sensor wired up, I'll be able to like actually see if the car's leaning or going rich or doing whatever. And then we'll be back tomorrow. But I got the intakes back in. I just need the filters, and then that's routed how it should be, fairly. And then I just need a cap for that and a cap for that. And then we're good. Oh, while I was putting stuff back together, I went to tighten my alternator tensioner and it just said no. I didn't even get it to like 15 foot-pounds and it just broke off. But I've got this bolt. I just need this one piece. This is all one piece right here. 1 second. I just need this piece. So if I get this piece, then I'll be chilling. So, but it is what it is. But I just had the car running. I didn't record because I'll record once I start tuning it.
Are you recording right?
So we're back once again. Here we are. I got the intakes back on. This one's still a little loose because this bracket is supposed to like bolt onto one of these band clamps and like support this one, but I couldn't figure out how to get it on. So temporarily, or I couldn't remember how it went on. So temporarily it's off, but it's truly not the end of the world. I got this center speaker removed. I tried using my little pocket screwdriver and it just fucking obliterated the tip of it. So the screws were in there pretty tight. I don't know why, but they were. I noticed that the hose for my surge tank was like on my turbo, and both of them, the one that goes to the radiator and the one that goes to the neck here. So I put them up right here. So now they're not touching anything. And then the one that goes down runs up along with the oil cooler lines to the lower part of the radiator. So now they're away from the heat, and this should be good for now. Just to put 2 little zip ties. Tighten down the rest of the exhaust, put the right hangers on so they're not like loose anymore. And then I ran my O2 sensor, or my air fuel ratio sensor, my wideband O2. Ran that along here, zip tied it up, and then in through there. So that's the wiring for that done. Right now, function over form. You know, things are going to be visible, things are going to be easier to work on, and then maybe later on down the road, if I need to change it or if I want to change it, I'll make things look prettier. But I found my sway bar, so I just need to get the mounts for that ordered. And then this is what I've been doing. This is the wiring for the coolant temp sensor. It has 2 long wires that are just like this. So I wanted to kind of loom them so it's, you know, tidier and they won't just rub through in the engine bay. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. There's a couple parts that I had to go back over, and like, this is the first time I've done something of this length before, so I'm sure there's a technique to it, and once I get it down, it'll be fine. Versus cutting a hole in the grommet that's in this fender and running them through the fender up to here, which would be the shortest run, because there's a grommet right... This is horrible. There's a grommet right there. So I wanted to just run it along this wiring, along here, behind the battery, and then up along this harness that's already tucked under here. And then it would just come out over here. It'd be a longer harness, but then instead of cutting multiple holes to run wires through, they would all be passing through that hole. which in my mind, making everything pass through one spot is easier and keeping all this OEM. So if I have any problems with my gauges or anything, it's all following the same thing. So I think if the wire's long enough, I'm gonna keep it coming through that hole and up along here, and then just running it to where it's gonna be running like that, where it's gonna just run forward. One more thing, this Drake's pod is great and it's super tight, but it's almost too tight because I can't get my gauge back out after I test fitted it. Because I just pushed it in, that was it, but apparently that was enough, and now it doesn't want to come out, and I don't want to pry on it, and I was trying to twist it right, which is tightening, and it started spinning just the thing on the face, so I don't want to strip that. It's expensive gauge to damage, so I'm gonna maybe try to use a heat gun just a little bit, because the plastic should heat up where I can pop this out. But that's a warning. If you get the Drake's case and you have an AEM gauge, make sure that when you put it in is when you want it in, and hopefully you don't have to take it back out, because this is a bitch. So that's the only thing with this. But other than that, I'm glad it's a tight fit. I don't want it falling out on me, but I just wish it was able to be removed with a little bit of force. Right now it's just not wanting to come out at all. Anyways, back to this. So back out here the next day. Next day from the last video, or not the last video, but the last clip. And we're back here, and it's not the prettiest job. This is previous owner spliced in here to wire in a Miata taillight connector when he was using a Miata wiring harness. And then I have an FD harness, and I don't have the FD pigtail for this, so I just went to get a basic 4-pin pigtail, and then I chopped off all his wiring and just wired in this 4-pin pigtail, and then I'm going to chop off the part on the FD harness to wire in this pigtail as well. So off to the next taillight. So just let me go grab that. Oh look, they're already in. So I use the I don't know if they're wired 100% correct, because I don't think the turn signal is supposed to be illuminated too, but also in the same aspect, these two pigtails had the same wiring, and this one was different. So I don't know if it's supposed to be flipped, and this bulb is supposed to be here, but it was the same on this side too, so I just left it. Also, I need a new pigtail for this light, because the ground wire is like really loose in there, and I don't think that's repairable, so I think I'm just gonna need a new pigtail. But AutoZone connectors, just a 4-wire connector, attached it down there, and then attached it up here to the light harness. So much more beefy connector, much more beefy wires, and that's just how it'll be. I'm not too concerned. If the wiring is wrong, I'll just de-pin it if I can. I think you can de-pin these. You should be able to de-pin any connector, and then just swap them around, because I don't want to be cutting and adding more splices in. But it's starting to look like a full car, which I think is dope. It's got license plate lights, turn signals. Just I think the issues with the brake lights, turn signals, and turn signals up front not working are all the same issue, because I'm missing my flasher module. I don't know if I said that before, but if I did, I'll cut it, and this will be the first time I'm saying it. But I got these done up, so gonna finish cleaning up this harness and then routing it where you can't see it, and then I'll be back when I'm back inside the car trying to get power to my gauges. So I will get you updated then. Also, I didn't record this the other day because last night I was really tired, and then it started pouring rain, so I had to go inside. I spilled this entire box all over the car because I fucking tripped and dropped it. So that's why this didn't get done yesterday, because cleaning up an 800-piece heat shrink set really kills your mood. Okay, we got packages. Look. This one's from Japan. There's Japanese shit on it.
Ebbers.
Oh my god.
Ebbers.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the small one. This is from Miata Source. Basically, They are,
Sorry, I got distracted.
they're power steering rack plugs for a Miata. No one makes them for an FD, so I just ordered the Miata set, and I'm hoping these work. If not, then I have the exact thread pitch that I can take to a store and find a matching one. Okay, we need a suitable knife to open this stuff. This is a order, not the first thing I'm gonna get from this company, but the first, or not the last thing, but the first thing that I'm getting from this company for now. This is a Wiring Specialties grommet. So this is gonna go around, because the grommet was cut off of my harness. This is going around my wiring harness and going into the firewall. So that's gonna seal that up, and I'm gonna show you guys me making a plate, because I'll be making a plate for the other stuff that's missing. There's, leave the knife here. Oh my god! Would you like to read about this guy?
Who?
Daigo.
Huh.
Daigo Saito? I wonder what we can find in here. We're gonna make a whole newspaper. Okay, so this shipped from Japan.
What is it?
Something I'm very excited for, something expensive. So I already had my cluster face, but getting the face and hood separately is quite difficult. So this is a brand new cluster hood and face. So and it comes with all the bracketry and everything, and I should be able to bolt up my cluster to this, so we'll see how that is. Okay, that's our parts haul. All right, we're home. We got the Power FC, which I didn't even look. I probably should have. FD3S4, which is for the 92 to 95 models, which is mine. This thing, which I don't have a cigarette lighter, so it's not going to be too useful, but when I do get one, it'll hold the commander, just right where the cigarette lighter is. And apparently this thing is really dim, but we'll see if it's usable. Hopefully it is, just to at least get the tune reset and maybe mess with a few things before I get the data log it in next month. And then all the stuff, solder, crimps, butane soldering iron, and we're gonna see how much of this wiring that's messed up we can fix, which I will show you guys here in a second. Out to the garage. So up under here, which is why I think certain things aren't working, right here on the ECU, you can see that there's this white wire that's going towards the ECU is just kind of like, one, the wire's broken right there, and two, it's tapped off to one of these type of connectors. And then up on over here, the grounds, there's two wires pulled out of this harness right here, which is the harness that goes to the back of the vehicle. And seeing that, I guess, not the red and white is on this one, which red and white is fuel signal, but then there's also about 3 or 4 more wires down here by the ECU. Oh, there's one, this green and white one, which is coming out of the connector but going to nothing. So I was getting this all fitted, and both of Drake's pieces I got, I'm a little disappointed with. So this one, I test fitted it with the gauges in. I went to pull it out to get back behind the cluster to plug everything in and install the cluster. And what happened was the second I pulled up on this, it split the bottom. So it was installed, I reached in here, went to pull up, and it just split the 3D print, which I'm pretty sure these are all 3D printed. And so this one, I wanted to be a little safer, and there's a tab back behind here, so I pushed on this, and then I put a little plastic pry tool between here to pop up, and it split the 3D print right here. And also it's not lining up properly. So I'm gonna make them work because I already have them, but they were a little pricey, so it's a little disappointing for them not to fit how I expected. So unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, but unfortunately, there was only 2 issues down here. And the reason I say unfortunately is because that means there's less issues to fix, which means it's less likely to fix the issues I'm having. So what it was this wire, and this wire all had these tapped into them. So they weren't really doing anything. And there's no cut wires on the connectors. And these connectors seem to be relatively free of corrosion. Over here, this red and green wire, that guy was just cut. So I ended up just crimping it together and soldering it, and then I forgot my heat shrink, so I wrapped it in electrical tape, and it was just hanging up there with one of these on it. So I don't know where that was originally going, if maybe if this is the fan issue and they were controlling the fans via a fan controller with that. This guy is missing a lot of pins, but they don't seem to be corroded out. Just looks like they're not there, because this harness doesn't look like it was really opened. So, and this all appears to be OEM, and the rest of the ECU connectors seem to be fine. So we're driving the FD, and the AFRs are not ideal. So we just took it out. We did a photo shoot not even a mile from the house, and we're taking it back home. At idle, they sit at about proper, but beyond idle, it wasn't sitting happily. It was sitting less than happy. But we'll see what we can do about that. I'm driving and I have no power steering, so I'll be back when I get home. So wait, no, I got this. Yeah, I'll be back.